Good morning. It's Wednesday, July 29th. Welcome to the second morning coffee of this school year. I was talking last time about how, as a lifer, a lifelong educator, a year to me doesn't start January 1st. The year starts in the fiscal year in July. So it's the new year. So I'm trying to be careful not to say welcome to the second morning coffee of the year. Because it's not of the calendar year, but it is definitely of the school year. We like to start our meetings, and we do this at the APC, and we do this at our staff meetings by reading our purpose statement. Anchorage Dream Academy empowers students to be involved learners, critical thinkers, and engaged citizens who are inspired by the natural world. Mrs. Beyondich and I both have our Stream Academy blue Rapids gear on today. It's beautiful Rapids gear, and we are drinking morning coffee out of these awesome mugs that you can still purchase from our nonprofit. And you see one of our board members, Jen Mickelson's got hers today. Mr. Beer, did you bring a Rapids mug back to Pennsylvania for your mother?
Thanks for putting me on a spot there. I totally forgot it to pack it, so it's still in my place. So I'll have to mail it.
That's okay. We need to support the United States Postal Service anyway. They need our support right now. So we can make sure that one gets mailed to Mr. Beer's mom.
It was one of those I have everything right, and then mid-flight I'm like, that mug.
Got the mug. That happens. It happens, Mr. B. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, parents that are online with us. Good morning to our YouTube audience, and to those who, I'm always impressed by this, to those who watch this later, not live, go back and watch the recording to see what happened. That's pretty cool. And thank you for watching wherever and whenever you watch. I am in an alternate location today, as you can see. I have a little bit of words of wisdom to share with you parents out there. If your child has a longboard or a skateboard, and you decide that you should be able to ride that because you think you're completely capable and it can't be that hard and it's not really going to go that fast, don't do that. Resist that urge, because you might go way too fast and not be able to control said longboard and realize you're way out of your element too late, and then try to leap and run off of speeding longboard and hurt your ankle really badly, which is why I'm sitting in my chair with my foot elevated and an ice pack on it this morning. It's no more longboards for me. It was a bad idea. It turns out I really am in my 40s now. So there's today's words of wisdom. I'm laid up with a badly sprained ankle today, but I'll be okay. Let's see. It is Wednesday, July 29th. We are going to leave things pretty loose again today, and we'll probably get back quickly to having a tighter agenda where we have some guest speakers and really specific topics. But just with school reopening, we wanted, especially these first couple morning coffee sessions, to be pretty flexible, because we anticipate a lot of questions, and just want to give parents a chance to interact and talk to us, ask questions, share concerns. So we'll touch base today a little more on our back to school planning and model. We have Emily Smith with us today, one of our superstar teachers. And this summer, Emily has taken on the task from me to pursue and learn about the Canvas platform. And she has really dived into that. She's done a ton of really good work in getting us up to speed on Canvas. So parents, sort of, if you haven't seen in my announcements, last spring when we went to distance learning, we did not adopt Canvas because we felt the way we use Google Classroom was sufficient, and it would allow us to not have to introduce another new thing, another new platform for parents and students and families. But at this point, we decided the right decision for this coming school year is to adopt Canvas, since we're still looking at doing virtual learning, and it's a really robust platform. It offers a lot more opportunities than Google Classroom does, and the district's putting a lot into it. It also means that, students coming from other schools to us, or when students leave us to go to other schools, they'll have familiarity because the district's using it. So we'll talk a little bit about Canvas. I want to update folks on ASD Virtual. Last week in Morning Coffee, we had a lot of questions on what that would look like, and I didn't know. I shared what little information I had, and since then I've learned a lot more about what ASD Virtual looks like. We want to talk about the lottery announcements. The lottery ran, and we're ready to add more students to our enrollment, and give you a little update on our outdoor education goals and model. That's kind of an overview of things we want to touch on today, but that's also really dependent on parents and what your needs are and what your questions are. I'll give folks an opportunity to ask questions for sure, just an open opportunity, but you can also at any time write a question in the chat box, and Mrs. Bionich moderates that. She'll share those. So that's sort of an overview of what we're looking at this morning. Is there anything else, Mrs. Bionich, that you wanted to mention?
I don't think so. I think you got it. You covered it very nicely. Thank you, Principal Mokelke. The mugs are $20 though. That was a question that came through on the chat to me privately. How much are the mugs? The mugs are $20. Stream Anchorage 501c3 is selling them. I have a whole bunch in my car. I think I have 12 in my car. So if you want one, well, now I have 10 because somebody just called dibs on 2. So there you go.
Perfect. So I think we'll start by talking about ASD Virtual and just sort of the options for the school year. So really, in terms of staying with Stream Academy, which we hope you all will do, you have two options right now. And one is to basically to not do anything. It's the default option. So I have gotten some questions since my last email. Do I have to sign up for Stream Online, Stream Distance? No, you don't. Because the district has determined that we will start the year virtual, you don't have to do anything. And what will happen is we will enroll students in the 2 core courses they're in, whether that's first quarter, they'll either have a math science track or they'll have the language arts social studies track, and then a third sort of elective project block that will be matched with that. Teachers will, the teacher who you are assigned to in your cohort will call. Our teachers will make contact with each parent, let them know how that's going to look. They'll be sending out information, and our goal will be to, this is not March when we went into emergency triage distance learning mode, and our teachers did an awesome job, but we were building the airplane while we were flying it. This is going into a new school year and being really prepared, and our teachers will share a lot of information and make sure that while we're in online learning, it's going to be powerful and robust. It's going to maximize, individual contact and face-to-face time, and I think it's going to be a impactful learning experience. So we'll roll right into that. You don't have to do anything if that's, what you want to do. That's the default. The other option you have is to stay enrolled with Stream Academy, to keep your seat, to keep your connection with us, and we will stay connected with newsletters, with phone calls, with support, with devices, with whatever we can possibly do to support these families as well. And that's to select ASD Virtual. And so 2 ways you can do that, and Mrs. Bionich can interrupt me if I'm not quite getting this right. The part I know is if you haven't done online registration yet, you can choose ASD, you can choose virtual. You're still a Stream Academy family and student, you enroll in ASD Virtual. If you've already done the registration and didn't see that option, Mrs. Bionich can go in and edit that and choose ASD Virtual, for you. What I learned about ASD Virtual, what it looks like is, it is not our Stream Academy courses and teachers and curriculum. It is a district-wide platform, not a school, it's a program, because in terms of the technical use of the word school, you're not enrolled in a different school and designated that as such. You're still enrolled with us. You're just doing this program. And so they'll use Apex courses, which the district has used for a long time. They're folding what used to be iSchool into ASD virtual. And so they'll offer you online courses. They're good courses. I've used Apex for a long time. At my previous school, we used Apex for credit recovery for high school. It worked really good. They're set up to be totally independent online courses that you can work through at your own pace. So it's a solid option. And so you'll do those Apex courses independently online and be guided by an ASD virtual teacher, but you'll remain connected with our school. You'll be able to transfer back to Stream anytime. Of course, we'll highly recommend that you do that at quarter, because the breaks for the classes will be, will make a lot more sense that way. But we're not going to prevent students from, if ASD virtual is just not working for you, from transferring back to do whatever we're doing with Stream, whether it's online or face-to-face. So that's what I learned about ASD virtual. Stay connected with the school, stay enrolled with the school, keep your seat, and you'll have online classes, probably Apex classes. And so you won't be doing the same curriculum scope sequence. You won't be at the same place as the cohorts that are working with our teachers.
So what is the difference between ASD virtual and how the kids ended last year, or in how, like, the virtual that the kids went through last year?
ASD virtual will be really different. They won't have near as many classes. The classes will be Apex classes, and that's an Apex class is an online class through a company called Apex, and it's a complete class. So like you can do a whole English or social studies or math class on Apex. And they're good courses. They're robust courses. So, and that's a district-wide program. It's what used to be called iSchool. And then as far as Rosalind, as far as what's the difference between what Stream is doing and last spring, is we're only going to do 2 classes at a time and an elective, and that elective really goes with the 2 classes. So your daughter might have math and science first quarter with us if you choose the Stream track, and the 3rd class is an elective type class that's probably going to be a lot of projects and things that are tied to the math and science class. They'll link together. It's less classes. It'll be a lot more focused. We're looking at more face-to-face interaction, or more, virtual face-to-face interaction, where last year we just did office hours. Students will have specific times and days that you log in for 7th grade math, or you log in for 8th grade science. Especially since teachers and students only have 2 days a week, that'll be, or 2 classes, sorry, that'll be a lot more manageable. Does that make sense, Rosalind?
Yeah, so, okay, because that's where I'm torn at as a parent. Like, so the virtual, is it just one class or a bunch of class? Because the way that Stream sounds, that sounds so ideal for it to be those 2 classes and an elective. I guess I'm trying to, like, obviously Stream isn't self-paced with the virtual. Is the virtual self-paced, or is it all still on a track?
Good point. ASD virtual would be entirely self-paced from what I understand. And whereas the Stream classes wouldn't be self-paced quite as much. It would be more in a progression. We would expect students to stay on a calendar or stay on track. I don't know the answer, and if anyone can help me, or we can just find this and get this back to you, Rosalind, and share it with everybody. I don't know how many classes at a time they will enroll students in for ASD virtual. It will likely be a couple of classes a quarter at a time. But I can find out specifically. I think I think I have another Zoom meeting today, specifically on ASD virtual. So I'll share more. And Rosalind, feel free to give us a call tomorrow, and we should have answers for that. But that's a good question. Thank you. Nikki, you have your hand raised. Go ahead.
I'm wondering with the stream distance, which I know that we're starting now online, but when you actually come back into the building, is that still an option that you can stay kind of on that distance track with just the 3 classes? Or do you have to actually come back in once the district deems that it's safe for us to be in the building?
That's a good question. And it's hard for me to say this, but I have to keep saying this to be true. I don't know the answer. I don't have a for sure answer. My preference would be that when we come back face to face, for parents that are on the stream track in stream classes, that if we have families that are still really not ready for that, that we would work with you and figure out how to allow you to continue, at least for the duration of a quarter, right, to continue virtually. And so I can't 100% promise that, because I don't think that's what ASD as a whole wants to do. So it's going to be, it could be one of those questions of how much autonomy do we have as a charter school, because we do have a lot more flexibility as a charter for me to make that decision. I think if it's, if it's entirely up to me, I'm always going to do what's best for our families and our kids. And in this case, it would be pretty clear to me, if we came back midway through a quarter, what would be best for our families and our kids is if you just really weren't ready for that, that we let you at least finish out that quarter virtually. And that'll be a little bit more challenging for teachers. So that's something I'll also have to work through with them, because then they would have face-to-face students and still have some students in the virtual environment. And so, but the flip side of that is I can provide them some more support. I know that's not a great answer, Nikki, but it's a great question, and it's something I'll definitely want to talk through. And Mrs. Smith, don't mean to put you on the spot, so if you don't want to chime in, you don't have to, but that could be something you could shed some light on. It could transition us here in a minute to talking about Canvas, because Mrs. Smith's going to talk a little bit more about how Canvas will work, and she's giving me the thumbs up that she might have some ideas on how smooth that could be for students.
Hey, Mr. McGuckey, it's Chris. She came up on your phone because I didn't come up on the computer soon enough. So the question was going to be, does she need to do anything for registration again?
Yeah, that's a good question, Mr. Watts. And if any family has that particular question, I can answer on a one-on-one basis. But here's the general answer. If you have already completed online registration, and you've already, it defaults to ASD in school as opposed to ASD virtual, and you're okay with that, then you are done. If you've already done online registration because you were super on it and you did that in March or April or May, and now you want to go back and make a selection for ASD virtual instead of ASD in school, in whatever model that looks like, then I can teach you how to edit your selection in registration so that you can choose ASD virtual. Jen Mickelson had asked, are virtual classes on a quarter basis? And the general answer to that question is yes. The district in secondary ed, so middle school and high school, has gone this year to the quarter model. So the quarter that you're in, and this is why we suggest that you make a decision that's good for the whole quarter. Your grade at the end of that quarter is what's going to post to your transcript. Super important in high school, less important in middle school, but for credits in high school, it's super important that if you make a decision, you stick with that decision all the way through the quarter so that it posts to your transcript properly. Because if you bag it in the middle and say, I want to go back and do ASD face-to-face, it's going to, what's going to post to your transcript will be the second half, how you end the quarter.
Let's bounce back to Mrs. Smith and sort of follow up on the conversation thread that Nikki started with her question, and let's talk about how Canvas might work for our students and our staff.
Okay, sure. Hi, I'm Emily Smith. I teach language arts primarily. If a student is on ASC virtual, they're doing a totally separate set of classes. When they come back to us, we will have been using Canvas the whole time and creating projects, maybe also called units. In Canvas, it's called modules. And we will assign the student coming back to us whichever modules, aka project aspects or assignments, that we would think that they need to know what's going on within the project we're doing. So easy peasy, we say, hey, go on Canvas and you do this, this, and this. And that sounds similar if you know Google Classroom or were with us in the past. That sounds similar to what we were doing, how we were using Google Classroom. The difference is this year with Canvas, there's a lot more going on with Canvas than we could do with Google Classroom. So it'll be an even easier transition. I'm going to set up the staff in such a way that they understand, all the power of Canvas and the ways to integrate assignments. And so we anticipate having, everything there on Canvas. And the other good news for a parent is you can see a whole lot more than you could see with Google Classroom if you're familiar with that. You can see the assignments, you can see the grades, you can see, you get an observer code and you get joined in, and you can see the cards, the different class cards that the student might be in, like math, science, language arts. So that will all enable you to, when you go from virtual to in person, you'll be able to see, okay, this is everything that my student has missed. This is the information the teacher says that, they just need to complete to kind of know what's going on.
Ms. Smith, can I ask you one other thing? I'm interested, like if we were to stay with the stream, I mean, I understand right now that we're going to be starting online, but if we were to go with the stream module and then they said, okay, it's safe for us to all come back into the building, but we weren't quite ready for that, would we be able to still stay online with you? And then, because I'm not interested necessarily in the Apex, but I'm wanting to stay within the stream family and follow the curriculum that you're providing with the 2 subjects and the additional. But I'm just wondering that if we're not comfortable when it all kind of says, okay, this is that Dr. Bishop says, yep, we're safe to come back in, and we're maybe not right there at that same spot. Would that be something that you think that we would still be able to, like Mr. Mokalki said, is that, I understand that you have maybe a little more flexibility with charter, I hope, but just wondering so that she wouldn't be, caught between 2 worlds, I guess.
I think we're talking about, there's sort of 2 different scenarios. Hypothetically, when we were going to start the year face to face, I probably would not have been able to allow students to do stream virtual and not come face to face and yet do regular stream courses and only participate on Canvas. I think that would have been a pretty big leap. My strong sense is, I think it's highly likely that at least the entire first quarter were virtual. But when we come back face to face, if you've been doing stream classes, what I think we need to look at, Nikki, and what I probably shouldn't answer now, but I can tell you how I'm leaning, is would we let a student finish out at least a quarter in their stream classes on Canvas? And I want to say yes. I want to say that we really have to do that for our families if we can. But like I said, that's a discussion I need to have with the teachers, and then make sure that I can get that through ASD. My default is going to be, I'm going to want students to be able to finish out the quarter if they're not comfortable coming back in the building yet virtually. And I don't have a 100% answer for that, but we'll get one. That's a good question, and thanks for tackling that, Mrs. Smith.
Thank you.
See something popped up in the chat box. So Jen Mickelson writes, since Fairbanks and Kenai districts are bringing teachers back, but not starting school until after Labor Day, is admin talking about delaying the start for students? I honestly have not heard that. So we talked about, I'm just going to do a quick sort of recap where we're at. And I was thinking we're halfway through morning coffee, and I looked and it's exactly 8:30. So My little internal alarm is right. We're about halfway through the show today. We've talked about ASD virtual and Canvas stream virtual, right? Stream distance as the two main options for staying with Stream Academy. Shared with you that ASD virtual is our separate classes, Apex classes through the district, but you remain with us, and that you can transfer back to regular stream classes if it's not working. We'll be in quarter cohort model no matter what. Mrs. Smith shared, she's working really hard to get us ready and prepare resources and professional development for our staff. So we'll be ready to roll on Canvas. Students will have 2 core classes with Stream, either math, science, and a project elective blocked with that, or they'll have science, social studies, and a project elective blocked with that. We've had questions about, can my students be blocked this way or that way or together or with friends and all of that. And I want to repeat what I said last week, which is generally the answer is yes to parent requests. We try really hard to meet parent requests, and we're a small school. We have 150 give or take students, right? So if I had 1,000 students that we were trying to schedule for all of this, I might have a different answer. But if you send Mrs. Beyond at your eye your preferences, requests for blocking, for scheduling, for those, those types of things, you're probably going to get your needs met, is my guess. We have a pretty good success rate on that. So if you send a message and say, I really want my son, daughter blocked with these students or siblings, or, for whatever reason, we can do that.
And conversely, if you don't want your siblings in the same cohort, you can let us know that too.
We do. It's funny, parents with twins or with, Irish twins, or with, siblings that are a grade level or so apart in our school, they almost always have a really strong preference one way or the other. And it's funny because it is one way or the other. There are parents that really want their kids together, and we have parents who really don't. No, do not put, they need to be in separate things. So, and I'm a parent, so I get that both ways.
Christy would like to ask Mrs. Smith if she can describe a little bit more about the student perspective, what it looks like working with Canvas. And do teachers post assignments and students post documents much like Google Classrooms? Does the student in ASD login work as smoothly as the Google one?
This is the video where we're supposed to show you all the cool things Canvas can do, but it's actually more about the cool things you can do with a little help from Canvas. With fewer clicks and steps, stuff like speed grader and drag and drop calendaring will give you more time in a day. You can do what you have to in a way you actually want to. Communication between teacher and learner is so critical, and with Canvas, it's on your terms. Students can receive notifications, submit work, and interact with learning materials on the devices they use and in the ways they're used to. And Canvas's open platform lets you provide feedback and other interaction using video, blogs, wikis, or several other ways. You know the learning experience you want to create, and Canvas is the perfect sidekick. Bring the best of the web into your lessons with open integrations, reinvent assessments with richer content, easily tie outcomes to your grading.
I'm gonna pause it there. I know this video goes through several flashes, and for me, I watched it 2 or 3 times to get the idea, but you can see this is a student view. Parents would be able to see all of this as well. I'm just checking. Yeah. So what you see right now is clicked on the course navigation. Of course, there's a home key, a dashboard. Students will be able to see assignments, modules, which is units or projects. Some of these may be hidden so that and we will do that for middle schoolers, hide some of these, just the important ones or just the ones that we've actually populated. Will be shown, but in the summary, students will be able to see assignments, just like in Google Classroom, grades, and Canvas actually talks to Q or Parent Connect. So the grades in Canvas will automatically go into Q. So there will be some lag time because uploads during the night, but it won't be like Google Classroom where a teacher has to manually put it in there. So, you know, maybe there's some confusion sometimes in the past with Google Classroom, which one has the more accurate grades, Google Classroom or Q. And with Canvas, there will be no question. The Canvas grades will sync with Q, so they'll be the same. You also see more things in Canvas. There's a calendar of all assignments, all classes, all in one place. And there's an inbox. That's one of the most powerful things, I think, as a teacher that I'm excited about, is that I'll be able to communicate sort of like with email with students, instead of students having to figure out how do I communicate with the teacher on Google Classroom. It's like they type in an assignment or they type here or there. It's all in one place, like an email system in Canvas. I hope that answers questions.
Awesome. Thanks for the introduction, Mrs. Smith. We're excited to adopt Canvas. We think it's robust and it's going to provide a lot more resources and options and structure for our online classes. Any more questions for Mrs. Smith, or just discussion on Canvas before we jump?
Yeah, he's asking another question, which is a good one. I'm just trying to do like a quick overview, but yeah, please pour in the more specific questions. And we'll have a time when we have a specific morning coffee on Canvas in a little bit. But Nikki's asking, you know, videos were a big problem for a lot of people playing them in the spring on various different types of devices. Canvas is a solution to that, because the video will be playing within Canvas rather than you in Google Classroom. The video kind of pops onto your computer, but Canvas is a more powerful integrated learning management system, an LMS. So the video will be embedded in there. So it should solve that issue of devices not working with videos.
Awesome, thanks. And Ronelle Watts Mrs. Watts has her hand up again.
Hey, Mr. Mulkelky. Yep. Yeah, it's me. Yeah, I can't figure out I'm on my computer and then I'm on her phone. I can't figure out how to raise my hand on the computer. So that being said, the Canvas piece, I was, Mrs. Smith, that was a really cool look at what the kids will get for being instructed in Canvas. With my experience this past fall with it, the video piece is important. Do you know if the ability to add stuff to that content is going to be there?
Yes. So it can do everything that Google Classroom did, plus more, because it's an actual learning management system, an LMS, which is synced to our Q grading grade book, your Parent Connect.
Yeah.
So yes.
Okay, all right, that's going to be cool. I wanted to be able to grab some of that and create my homepage so that it kind of pops for my ROTC kids.
Yeah, if you want to right now dig in a little bit more, there is Vimo. I put the website or a link in the chat box if you're seeing that, but Vimo, VIMEO, and just search Canvas. If you're watching this on YouTube, go to vimo.com and search Canvas LMS Learning Management System. And they have a whole bunch of Canvas tutorials, tons and tons of topics. But from the ASD homepage, navigate to families. I'll show you. From the ASD homepage, that's this right here, navigate to families and Canvas and Canvas Parent Observer. So on Canvas, you'll be a parent observer. Google Classroom sends you summaries. Canvas actually allows you to be an observer, which I know a lot of parents wanted with Google Classroom. Yes. You're like going on there and you're seeing what the kids are seeing. And that's what you get. So this guide right here, if you click on this, it'll tell you how to get set up with that. Of course, you will need to have had your child to be registered and synced. Miss Beyondich, I'm forgetting what the words are. We don't have the kids loaded yet, so if you set yourself up with the observer guide, it won't quite work yet. But Miss Beyondich, say when that would be, when they would be able to do that.
Yeah, as soon as we get our master schedule reset, there's a whole lot of behind the scenes work that has to happen. Because we're like redoing the whole master schedule. As soon as we get that master schedule done and loaded for our school and we get our kids scheduled, then they'll populate into Canvas and then parents can connect. So it's going to take a little bit of time, but we're working on it.
Yeah, so the answer to the questions about the videos and different pieces that weren't working, it should work within Canvas better because it's inside of the, it's like going to a website and playing a video that's embedded on that website. It should work much better than we had with Google Classroom.
We had a question in the chat from Mrs. Costello. Who do we communicate with on schedules, course requests? That's me. I hand schedule all of our students, and then Mrs. Beyondich and Ms. Bonerts do the tech side and scheduling them through the district system. So email me directly, or you can email Mrs. Beyondich or call Mrs. Beyondich, and she'll pass on to me and let us know what your requests are. So yeah, that probably the easiest thing to do is to send me an email, and I'll look at those requests. So really it would be, you know, if you had a preference for when we do go back face to face, probably I'm guessing we'll ease back in with the 2-day-a-week model that they wanted to start the year on. So if parents had a strong preference for Monday, Tuesday, or Thursday, Friday, or if you had a strong preference for the math science track first, or the ELA social studies track first, grouping, those type of things, just send me an email and I will put notes on my spreadsheet and do everything I can to accommodate folks. I'm looking at the chat box.
We also had a question about, will Battle of the Books still be happening? So do you know anything about after school activities, Mr. Mokelke?
I do. I don't know specifically what stream we'll do yet. That's really going to be a discussion with our staff who provide those clubs. I do know the district had said when we are face to face that we can do after school activities as long as they are 20 students or less and we practice social distancing and you know, the same parameters. So that was the answer I got before the decision was made to go virtual. So the idea of doing a virtual Battle of the Books, I think is cool and is a possibility. And actually, so I'd encourage you to email Miss Kodelman because she's done Battle of the Books for us since the school opened, I think. So I'd encourage you to send Miss Kodelman an email and see what she's thinking, and I can talk with her about it as well. So don't have 100% answer, but we'll you know, Miss Drager came in to meet with me a week ago, and one of the main things she wanted to ask about was robotics, and if we were going to be able to do robotics club. So, you know, those are questions that we had an answer to, and then kind of are back up in the air with us being fully virtual right now.
As parents email teachers individually, please be aware that teachers are not currently on contract, so they may not be looking at their email.
Yeah. And you can always include me on the email and I can kind of help facilitate that. There was another question I wanted to follow up on, where to go.
Elective options. One of our new parents asked, have elective options changed since the plan to start online? Yeah,
definitely. You know, at the end of the year last year and into summer, we were still looking at a master schedule that had, you know, 6 classes plus elective and advisory. That's how we've done it in the past. And since then, that's really changed. We will follow ASD's quarter cohort model. So our students will have 3 classes. And when we're back face to face, those will be 3 90-minute blocks that they'll have per day. And so that will be either math, science, or language arts, social studies blocked together, and that switches at quarter. And the third class is not really an elective in the sense of a student choice. The third class is a mission and vision block, we're calling it. So if you have math and science, that third block will be scheduled with your math science teacher, and it'll be projects, experiential ed, STEM. It'll be extension of the courses that they're taking. When we are back face to face and, you know, looking down the line, when we're back face-to-face 5 days a week, I anticipate that third block opening up a lot more to where a couple of days a week, it could be an elective type class.
Will they still have their advisory teachers, or will that fall into more their cohort teachers?
Yeah, good
taking
question.
that
Thank you.
place?
Thanks for bringing that up. Right now, the plan is to set aside our traditional advisory structure, which is a hard decision for me to make because it's something that we've, it's in our charter, and it's something that we've done since the school opened, that students will have the same advisor and stay in the same advisory group all 3 years. But it just the model we're in really is not conducive to that. It would really be one more extra separate thing for both teachers and students to deal with and to track. So my plan right now is that each teacher will be assigned primarily to a cohort, and there'll be some switching with some grade levels, where for example, Miss Drager will have a 6th grade cohort she's primarily assigned to. She might do science for her cohort and do the science for the other cohort that's paired with it and switch off. But essentially teachers, the cohort they're primarily assigned to, they'll be the advisor for that cohort. And so we're setting aside for this year our traditional structure for advisory to make it fit with the model and the structure that we're using.
Hey, do you want me to share how the 8th grade is going to be doing our one class thing?
Sure.
Okay, for anybody who has an 8th grader, Miss Goodman and I will be the 8th grade teachers, and we are creating a cross curricula project. So they will have one class, quote unquote class. It's one project per quarter, probably lasting the one quarter, and it will have all subjects in it. So our first one is probably going to be on the topic of fire and fire management. And it will have science, math, language arts, and social studies in it.
We can bounce back to questions if they pop up for folks, but Mrs. Bianich, we only have about 10 minutes left. We want to talk about lottery for anyone who's got students in the lottery and enrollment and stuff. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Sure. We are the second lottery closed and rolled and is going to be released on Friday. So if we have any parents that have logged on or are watching later to this morning coffee, just know that on Friday is when the first round of emails are going to come out with the lottery. Any open seats that we have will be filled. If you get a notification that says you've been offered a seat, you have 48 hours, and those are business hours, I think. I'm fairly certain they're business hours. So by Wednesday, you're going to have to respond that you accept. If you do not accept, you're dropped off. So you lose the seat, and the next person on the lottery is offered that seat. If you're offered a wait list seat, you don't have to respond in 48 hours. You're still going to be on the wait list, but it's always a good idea to go ahead and accept your seat on the wait list, just in case, just to be safe. So the lottery is going to release on Friday, and you guys will have until Wednesday to accept your seats. We do have a few seats open that we're going to be offering in the 6th grade and some in the 7th grade, because we've increased our seat count in the 7th grade. And so we anticipate that a lot of movement is going to happen in those 2 grades. 8th grade is really packed full. There's not going to be a lot of movement in the 8th grade, but there could be. So just pay attention.
We anticipate having 60 6th graders. I'll consider increasing the seat count in 6th grade when we have a really solid idea of what the 6th grade cohorts will look like. If we have 4 full 6th grade cohorts, I'll increase the seat count and we'll take more 6th graders. For 7th grade, we did. So for 7th grade, I'm locked into 4 cohorts, 2 math science and 2 social studies, language arts cohorts. So that's Mr. Beer, Mr. Mosen, Mr. Perkins, and Mr. Holsopple in 7th grade. So because we have four cohorts, and capping our cohorts at 20 at the max, because we have 4 cohorts and we can go up to 20. I've opened up 10 more seats in the 7th grade. And we had, before this lottery, we had, I think, 15 7th graders already on the wait list. So we're gonna go up to 70 7th graders, and that'll let a lot more students join stream that wanted to, which will be cool. And that'll still, even with 70 7th graders, 70 divided by 4 is not a round number, but it means cohorts will be like 17, because we don't do 0.8 students. We won't split any students in half or into thirds. And then 8th grade is, as usual, it's our smallest group. It's our smallest class, because we tend not to take a whole lot of students in 8th grade, as it's the 3rd year with us, and most of our 8th graders are students that have been 6th, 7th, and been with us for two or 3 years. And so we're really trying to keep 8th grade at 40, because 8th grade is, like I said, only 2 cohorts. Mrs. Smith and Miss Goodman are doing our 8th grade cohorts. Right now, 8th grade is the cohorts would be, 21 or so students, and we want to keep it. We want to keep it at right around there. We talked last time about outdoor education being an important part of our mission and vision. And Mr. Perkins has been working on how to increase our outdoor classroom opportunities and spaces. We looked into building some kind of covered gazebo type structure, and it's prohibitive. I don't think it's going to happen at this point. There's so much red tape for a school to build a structure with all of the regulations and requirements and permits and hoops to jump through, that I don't think anytime soon we're going to be building a gazebo pavilion type structure like I talked about. But we are still pursuing partnership with the park, opportunities for more outdoor classroom spaces in the park. Mrs. Beyondich has coordinated getting us a bunch more picnic tables, so we still will have more seating and that type of outdoor classroom options in our backyard. How many picnic tables are we going to have, Mrs. Beyondich?
Through being a beneficiary of the Boy Scout project, we're going to get 6 picnic tables, 6 or 5 traditional and 1 with extra addition on the top for wheelchair access. Additionally, we had 2 picnic tables donated to us that are already in our yard. And then we have the picnic table we started with. So we're going to have 9 6-foot picnic tables.
So that alone gives us a lot more capacity to, not only to have lunch outdoors, which, when we return face to face, my plan is to have a lot of outdoor lunch option for our students, but also, we have 9 tables. We have a lot of capacity to take groups of students outside. And we talked last time about, even with us being fully virtual, I'm really intent on finding ways to facilitate some face-to-face small group outdoor experiential activities, and we're working on that as well. Well, that brings us close to 9 o'clock. We have coffee mugs available for our 501c3, our nonprofit, Stream Anchorage. If you ever want to talk about the nonprofit, Mrs. Beyondich has worked a lot on the nonprofit, separate of her role as admin assistant. She's a board member for our nonprofit. She'd be a good point of contact for that. I believe Jen Mickelson, who's on with us also, right, is on our nonprofit board. They're always looking for volunteers and donations and involvement and support. All right, we're winding down. We'll take some end of the session questions and anything that we need to share for the good of the order. Rosalind Grady had her hand up. Go ahead, Rosalind.
So I'm not sure because I got cut off. I just want to make sure I ask this question. I know school hasn't started yet, and I've chosen the virtual option, but it's just because I'm torn in between what to choose. If I decide I want to go to stream, just per se the day before? Do I have that option, or like, is there a deadline for our options on, so that, you know, we don't, I guess, because I know I did hear you don't want to choose in the middle of third week to go back to stream or to go to virtual. Do we have an option right before school, I guess, starts?
Yeah, yeah, we'll work with you, Rosalind. I understand this is a really hard decision for families. What I'm hearing you say is you're going to stay with Stream. You're deciding between ASD virtual, which would be the Apex classes, but you'd still be enrolled and you know, connected to us, or between that or Stream virtual, Stream classes, the math, science, or language arts, social studies with Stream teachers. You're deciding between those two. And so, yes, you have up until the last minute to change your mind, and that's totally okay. I mean, the closer we get to the start, the harder it's going to be to, you know, we'll have to switch you over and change schedules, but we'll make it happen. We'll work with you on that. And I also, you know, I want to repeat, we don't want parents to switch mid-quarter, because it's probably not the best idea, but we're not going to say no. So if you're doing ASD virtual, Rosalind, and you know, it's just not working, and you call and say, I want her with Stream teachers in Canvas classes, we'll figure that out. We'll make that work. It'll be a little bit challenging, but we're not going to say no to that. So try not to do that. Try to stick it out for a quarter, whatever you choose. But I mean, we're going to work with parents, because this is brand new, and I understand some parents are going to get started in one mode or the other and figure out that it's just not working, and we're not going to force you to stick with that. We're going to help you as much as we can.
Okay, because I mean, I know it. I'm, as an employee too, it was just hard.
Yeah.
I mean, either way, it's just hard because, and I know it's like, oh, she's in 8th grade, and now you have my 6th grader as well. The accountability of get up and get on this, and me being in meetings. And I guess this is like a question like all parents have, because we also have our everyday employee lives, as well as maybe other children. Like it was really, as a parent, it was really hard for me to say, get on these classes and go do this work, and still be a parent / employee and be like, you have to do this, or do you get in trouble? Like it just seemed like it was so much easier last year, because it was like, it's not assessment. What word was y'all using? You know, I don't know. I guess these are the questions that I don't know. I just don't, I know I don't want to be like pulling my child by the tail and being like, or like the accountability, I guess, is going to be hard for me.
Yeah, we totally hear you. It is hard. It's really hard. We're going to do everything in our power to make it easier for you. And you know, I've been saying, we did a good job. Our teachers did a good job last year considering the circumstances. But this will be way different than last spring, because we've had months to prepare, and we're really going into this fully ready and fully prepared. You know, like Mrs. Smith's been working on her summertime all summer on getting us ready for Canvas, and Mr. Perkins has been working on, you know, figuring out outdoor classroom options for us. And, you know, Mrs. Beyondich and I have been working on this pretty much nonstop. We really, really, really want to make this experience, you know, as positive and supportive as possible for students and parents. And we're going to help you. We're going to help you and make sure that we do everything we can to make sure that your kids are successful with us.
I appreciate it, because when I seen the plan, I was like, oh, that is so ideal. But then the side note of being a parent, sending my kids to school, I was like, well, then do I still send them to school? Like, you know, I don't know. So I was just like, because I know I talked to Miss Beyondich, and I was like, when I seen the email the next day, I was like, oh, that is the best plan I've seen within anybody's plan, you know, was how you guys have your plan. And but then I was still torn, like, but do I still send my kid to school?
Yeah.
So thank you. Appreciate all your guys' hard work. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We're glad to serve. We're really glad to have your kids at Stream, and we're going to get through this. We're going to get through this together. I have faith that Alaska's going to figure this out and Anchorage is going to figure it out, and we're going to bring our cases down and get this virus under control, and we're going to come back face to face. We're going to be back in the building with kids at some point this year. I'm it has to be safe, and but we want nothing more than to have our kids back in the building and face to face. And this too shall pass. We'll get through this, and we'll come out okay the other side of it. Thanks everybody for your time today, for being with us. Nikki, I see your comment. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Please don't hesitate to call, to email us. If whatever works, reach out. I think we're pretty good about being responsive and being on top of stuff. And I have to give most of the credit to Mrs. Bionich for that. She is on it. If a parent is really struggling with something or really needs to talk to me, if it's 7 o'clock Sunday night, that's totally fine with me. So that's how we operate. Just reach out to us. Let us know how we can help you. Don't hesitate. We're going to figure this out for our families, and we're in this together. We're going to make this work. Mrs. Smith says she's checking her email regularly. She provided her email address. So if you have Canvas questions and want to talk more with Ms. Smith about how things might look, and interact with her, definitely shoot her an email. Mrs. Bionich said, it depends on the teacher because they are on summer break. So if you send the teacher an email, maybe CC one of us, Mrs. Bionich or I, so we can kind of help facilitate that question, that interaction. All right, thank you so much, everybody. Thanks for joining us for morning coffee. I'm going to stop our live stream here in a second. We will be back again on Wednesday next week, and we'll talk more. We'll dig more into these topics and answer questions.